Oh, hi! Droll Buddy Zoo here again, and I found myself in between new devices, which is kind of rare for me lately, so I thought I'd actually take a look at a super budget model device I bought earlier in the year that I haven't shown off yet. This is the MyMini from Game Console. This company, or companies I guess, who knows, all these clones of clones of clones, they make a ton of super cheap devices with the RK3326 inside. The RK3326 is like a used Toyota Corolla, or maybe a Honda CR-V. They're not flashy, they're not top of the line, but they're cheap and reliable, and they get the basics done well. The RK3326 has been in devices all the way back before I even got into the hobby, and it'll basically play everything from Atari through PlayStation 1 without a hitch. It can play some N64, some Dreamcast, and some PSP, but your mileage is going to start to vary on those. It might vary wildly depending on what games you're playing. There are two really cool things about these older chipsets though. First is the price. This guy in particular goes from between $30 and $40 depending on your storefront, and that's pretty normal for this chip. You're basically not going to break the bank on this. You're going to get the 80s through the 90s and into the early 2000s of gaming, all for about the same price as a trip to the movies and a bucket of popcorn. Let's open this thing up as I tell you the second cool thing about the RK3326 devices. Hey, is that Twitch streamer that got canceled? Huh? The second cool thing about the RK3326 devices is the form factor. Now, we haven't seen the craziness / genius of Anbernic's XX line, but you still get a wide variety of form factors, screen sizes, and even gimmick things that are actually pretty cool, like this R36T. The neat gimmicky thing about this device in particular is this little chode-looking joystick in the middle. At first it looks kind of weird and asymmetrical, but outside of a half dozen games, you never really need a second stick on a device like this, and its centralized placement really allows you to palm this thing one-handed quite easily. Gary, censor that. Well, before we go too far, let's see what we get in the box, and of course, you get this handheld in a beautiful teal color. We'll set that to the side for now. You get your USB-C cord. You get a screen protector. Very thin, but you get one. And an instruction manual. MyMini instruction, mini instruction manual. Don't put it in water. Don't give it to a baby. Bunch of QR codes. Basic stuff. Let's look at the actual handheld, though. Let's get the screen protector off. Get some of that ASMR. Ew. It made the hair on my arm go up a little bit. Add this to the pile. Let's do a quick device tour. This is made, of course, by Game Console uppercase C. You'll remember that the R36T was Game Console lowercase c, so it's a different company, maybe. This one has a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and you can actually open it up and see it right there. Pretty easy in case you ever have to swap it out. You have your shoulder buttons on the back. They're quite clicky, somewhat unfortunate. You have your face buttons, D-pad. Oh, the face buttons are kind of loud too. I mean, $30, but still pretty loud. Select, start, your joystick in the middle, we'll get back to it. On the side here, you have your power, you have your reset button, you have your volume up and down over here, you have your power USB-C on the bottom, headphone jack on the bottom, and on top, an OTG cable. You do have two SD cards, although mine came with a card in TF2 and not in TF1. So we're gonna have to see if it turns on. And then I don't know what this is. Do we know what this is? Is that a microphone? That can't be a microphone. Is it just a hole? Is it an LED maybe? We'll find out. And one forward firing speaker in the Game Boy position. Pretty cool. Let's turn it on. MyMini open source console. It's loading. And it is, hey, that is an LED indicator. I was kind of right. Looks like we have ourselves a random build of Miyoo version 4.7. Bunch of other gobbledygook. Oh, we can turn the LED off. Looks like by default you just want to flash colors around. Let's see what we can do. Flow on, off, red, green, blue, cyan. Let's see what white looks like. That's not bad. Can you change the brightness? No. It's all or nothing. Cyan? Let's go with cyan for now. So right out of the box, you have a pretty decent operating system. Looks like we have Oh, a little bit over 18,000 games. Wow, 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 wow. Handful of PSP games, handful of PlayStation games, and it looks like the preponderance are going to be in those lower tier systems, which this chipset will really excel at. So like for Genesis here, it looks like we have, probably the entire library. Probably the entire Game Boy Advance library. Same with Game Boy Color, regular Game Boy. And you can see here it's kind of hit or miss. So Game Boy, you have box art. Game Boy Color, box art. Game Boy Advance, you got box art. No box art for DS, Sega, but weirdly box art for 32X, and nothing for Nintendo or Super Nintendo. Kind of similar to some of these other pre-built cards we've had. This is a 64 gig card that comes with it. I mean, there's nothing stopping you from getting your own card, putting your own ROMs on here, but for 30 bucks, something that I would feel pretty comfortable giving to a brand new user and saying, hey, go to town, not too bad. Although I would have liked to have seen all or nothing. Like if you're going to have some of the box art, I'd rather have all the box art or no box art. This half and half, I don't like it. This does not have Wi-Fi, so if you wanted to scrape it yourself, you'd have to get a dongle or take the SD card out and put it on your PC and run one of them scraper programs. But again, 30 to 40 bucks, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You have yourself a 3.5-inch IPS OCA laminated screen. It's 640 by 480, which is a 4:3 aspect ratio, which is fine for playing Super Nintendo, PlayStation games, all sorts of retro games. You don't need too much more than that unless you have a ton more power under the hood where you can take advantage of black frame insertion or advanced shaders or anything. Speaking of shaders, does this have any? Let's see. By default, no. But it does ship with a couple CRT filters, so let's just chuck on, I don't know, fake LUTs. Ooh, that's not too bad. The ergonomics of this device, also not too bad. Now, the buttons, the face buttons, if you're mashing them all at once, they do get pretty loud. If you're doing one button at a time, though, it's not the end of the world. I don't know what it is about mashing them all at once, but it's not terrible. D-pad's not bad. We'll show some test footage of me playing Castlevania. You can get it to get diagonals, but I feel like you have to rock it pretty hard. If I'm down here just kind of holding it, moving my thumb around, I'm not getting any until I really start to deliberately rock it back and forth. The stick is a whole other thing because it's a stick, but that's to be expected. I would not try to do high precision tack driving with a single switch stick randomly put in the middle like a little chode. Shoulder buttons are a problem. I can't sugarcoat them. They're very loud. So if you wanted to play this in bed and you're trying to use save states and you're like, I'm going to do a little sneaky save, guess who is going to wake up next to you? It's not subtle. It's like an old computer mouse. I don't like it. Actually kind of far into the video before we do comparisons, but a really, really good comparison for the MyMini is actually the Miyoo Mini Plus. It's about the same exact size. It's the same height, same width, very, very similar thickness. This is a hair more ergonomic just because the overall design's more refined, but very, very similar. You can palm both of them. The difference is, if you did want to one-hand this guy, you have access to your D-pad, so to speak, in the form of the joypad and your buttons. You don't have to stretch your hand over super far. So if you did want to play a bunch of like Pokemon games or an old school RPG and you just wanted to grind, I think this might actually be a little bit better, even though this has better overall ergonomics. Hair more powerful, it has a better operating system. But if you are going to do one-handed gameplay, and let's not snicker, it's not that funny. Maybe you have a little baby. Maybe you're holding a baby. That's what I did. I used to play Nintendo 3DS when my kids were little, and then I played Switch when my second kid was little. And you know what? Your wife can't yell at you if the baby's asleep on your shoulder, so take advantage of it. Go grind for shinies. Grind a little bit in Final Fantasy Tactics. Do what you gotta do. And with this, you can do it all with one hand. And quite easily, I may add. I mean, seriously, look at the comparison. Stretch your thumb all the way over to do D-pad stuff. Kind of awkward. With this, you tuck your pinky. You're controlling your D-pad with your joystick here pretty accurately. And you have full access to your face buttons. Pretty slick. This size handheld is also really, really good if you're going to give it away as a gift, or especially if you're going to give it to a little kid. I gave my older daughter a transparent purple Miyoo Mini Plus, and it's ideally suited for little kid hands. She can play Pokemon on there. She has a blast. it's a great size. I bought this one for my second daughter. She likes blue. She actually likes this teal color a lot. And I got it and I said, I'm going to set it up for her. We're going to get going. And then she kind of got obsessed with the tablet and she doesn't want anything to do with the buttons. But that's okay. There's still time. My oldest refused to use anything that wasn't a touchscreen until she was about 5, maybe 6. So there's still time. Let's do a speaker test. It's not the best speaker, but it's serviceable. Another area where I think something like this excels, due to the price point, due to the cute form factor, due to the kind of gimmicky chode in the middle, I think this would excel as a gift. And especially around $30, this would be a great gift. It doesn't have a perfect firmware. It doesn't have top-of-the-line specs. But if you can get this for $30, $40, man, this is an amazing gift. I accidentally ordered 2 Powkiddy V90Ss, so I had an extra one laying around. And on a lark, I gave it to my buddy Dave. Now the V90S, it doesn't have the RK3326 in it. It's a slightly more powerful chip. But in the end, it's a similar amount of performance. Similar situation where the Batocera build it comes with. It's not ideal, but it's serviceable. Doesn't have Wi-Fi, but as a first handheld, as a gift, you don't need Wi-Fi. That's just one more thing gonna complicate it. And the reason I'm showing Super Metroid here is because I have gotten at least 4 texts from him, and I saw him in person the other day, and all he has been talking about is, holy crap, what is that thing you gave me? I sat down, I played a bunch of games I haven't played in forever. I got a text tonight, hey, I might get fired from my job because I can't stop playing Super Metroid. I'm like 75% sure he's not gonna get fired. Maybe 70% sure he's not going to get fired. But it really does show you how cool something like this could be for someone that's never had a retro handheld before. They don't know that if you spend $250, you can get something that'll play Switch games. For them, I can play Super Nintendo on here. I can play some old Game Boy Advance games. That's pretty cool. And at the end of the day, that's kind of what it's all about. Actually reconnecting with games from your childhood. Accessing that nostalgia. Actually playing and beating games. We have reviewed this chipset probably 3 or 4 dozen times, so I'm not going to do a super in-depth gameplay showcase. We'll throw some B-roll footage on top of this, but suffice to say, everything up through PlayStation 1 is going to be fine. If you want to just play old games from the 80s and the 90s, this is all you need. Well, Gary, the clock on the wall says it's time for What Did We Learn? We learned that if you got $30 or $40 to spend and you're looking for a gift or you're looking for a novelty or you're looking for just a handheld you can take and throw in your car, and if you lose it, you're not going to be too upset. The game console MyMini might be your mini handheld of the future, eh? Featuring the tried and true RK3326, a 3.5-inch screen, decent face buttons, decent shoulder buttons, a charming little center joystick / chode. Maybe I should blur it out in the thumbnail. What do you think, Gary? It's not going to set the world on fire, but it doesn't have to, because it's $30. In my mind, it was just the 4th of July, but in real life, we're like a week and a half into September. Soon it will be Christmas, and if you're looking for a present for a nerd in your life, or even someone who's nerd adjacent, like my buddy Dave, I was unfamiliar with his game until his series of text messages about Super Metroid. If you're looking for a gift for someone like that in your life, you could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse than the MyMini. Buy it for your friend. Buy it for your kid. This one's going to my daughter. She likes this color. Heck, maybe you got a white elephant coming up at work and there's a $25, $30 limit. They don't need to know. Maybe you went a little bit over. You paid $34.99 with shipping. Get him this. I guarantee you everyone in the office will say, that guy is cool. I want to be friends with insert name here. It's not perfect, right? Like, these shoulder buttons are loud as all get out. But you can overlook it, because it's $35. And even if all you want to do is play Yu-Gi-Oh! GX Duel Academy, it's $35 just for that game, let alone the other tens of thousands of games this comes with. If you already have 6 dozen handhelds in your backpack and on your shelves, and you're 3D printing extra shelves and towers for all your stuff because you're mentally ill, ban, do we have to have an intervention? If you're banned, this handheld's not for you. If you're looking for your first handheld, you're looking for something cheap you can throw away, or you're looking for a gift, I tell you what, the MyMini might be it. If you thought this video was it, Remember to like and subscribe and all that jazz. We're grinding our way to 100,000 subs. I think we're almost at 80,000 now, which is pretty cool. When I first started making videos for this channel, I think we were at maybe like 6,000, 7,000 subs. So there's been a lot of growth with the channel. So if you want to grow along with us, that sounded weird, ring the bell, do all that jazz, and we'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.